The culture is absolutely...
The gut ain't running there. Calling both games.
Houston's main objective may have been a little late in execution, but the Deshaun Watson saga has nearly reached its end. Over a year of speculation can be put to rest. Mostly because he won't be criminally charged for having an ego the size of Texas when it came to masseuses. Deshaun will finally get his happy ending. His own choice of where he wants to play next. The suitors were vast and wide. Indianapolis was a no. Cleveland was rejected. Carolina became more of a laughingstock than it already is. The options were down to New Orleans and Atlanta. The reward for this overwrought reality TV show being a bounty not seen in a very long time. In this glorified recruiting process, the winner of Deshaun's services is... Cleveland. Thought they were ruled out of the process. Did Deshaun consent to their continued efforts to get him? I'll give the Browns credit for persistence. They fired a Hail Mary that Aaron Rodgers would be jealous of, but the rewards for everyone else is sweeter. Houston, in return, gets 3 first-round picks to ruin their rebuild with, as well as 3 more mid-round selections. Mr. Watson will more than likely never go hungry again. He was given another extension by Cleveland before his current extension even kicked in. $230 million, fully guaranteed. What a deserving reward for a high-risk acquisition that hasn't played in over a year. If it works out, they're contenders. If not, we laugh at Cleveland yet again. It's a dangerous proposition. Browns fans, please hand in your big rape cards immediately. Those privileges have been permanently revoked. Now you have your own Big Ben to begrudgingly cherish. And he'll be very hands-on with his approach. Whoa, Deshaun, we just met.
The Houston Texans select Derek Stingley Jr., defensive back, LSU.
The Texans pretty much needed everything, so they could have randomly shot fish in a barrel and come up with something decent. Stingley is an excellent corner that profiles as an elite shutdown guy at the next level. The only risk is injuries. The dude did have Lisfranc surgery, and that kind of injury tends to hurt skill positions like cornerback. Even then, he performed well at the Combine and at his pro day. My main worry isn't with him, but with Houston fucking him up. Don't you dare do it, Texans!
The Houston Texans select Kenyon Green, guard, Texas A&M.
It's the same situation as the Stingley pick. Houston has so many holes to fill that anything would be considered reasonable. Kenyon Green may not have been the best interior lineman of this draft, but he checks off a few criteria. He fits the Texans' scheme well. Offensive guard is a position of incredible weakness for them, and Green is a local product from Texas A&M. That school shits out offensive linemen like a man after a meal at Chipotle. Unless the Texans decide to be the Texans, he should be alright. It's hard to fuck up these kind of picks. Let's be real, no one in Houston gives a shit how the Texans will do this season. They're really watching Cleveland in the hopes that Deshaun crashes and burns. Having the Browns' next 3 first-round picks tends to help there as well. Okay, there are a few things Houston is interested in seeing. Mostly if Davis Mills' promise is something legitimate or a mere flash in the pan. Perhaps it can be made of Teflon just like Jack Easterby seems to be. Don't worry if the Texans suck this year, they can just pray the failure away like they always do. Move on. The AFC, just like last season, is going to be a bloodbath. You can make the argument for nearly every team to be able to reach the promised land of the playoffs. And as a fan of the game, you can't ask for much more. The AFC East is pretty cut and dry, though. Buffalo will be taking that division with ease. The AFC North will go to Baltimore. Considering that they're finally healthy and able to field a respectable team should do wonders for them. To me, the AFC South is a coin flip between Indy and Tennessee. And I'm going to err on the side of the Titans for the time being. It's very close, though, just like the AFC West. Every team has a shot at winning the division. And for my sake, I'm going to go bold and pick the Broncos. I know, insane, but they actually have a QB and hopefully non-shitty play calling. That's all they needed. And as for the wildcards, it's a tough call, but I'm going to go with Kansas City, the Chargers, and the Bengals. I personally can't wait to see how wrong I am in these predictions, as always. Maybe they'll be as slow to develop as my vid schedule. You know, Indy, you aren't starting Carson Wentz at quarterback anymore. You can stop playing like shit against teams you should be wholeheartedly crushing. Are you going to do anything to fix the situation that you're in? I know you're pretty awful at big ones, but this is Houston. You've been driving a tank for so long they're already halfway across a rock. The defense looks iffy, Jonathan Taylor can't get anything going, and Matt Ryan appears to be cooked. How in God's name is it 20-3 in the third quarter? I'm not all that hot on Indy, but for fuck's sake, you're above this sort of humiliation. You guys aren't supposed to blow it until December. Indy quickly realized this and managed to come back into the game. Or is that because the Texans remembered they were undergoing an epic tank? Either way, we have a tie game at 20 with time ticking down. And then, nothing. Absolutely nothing. At least until overtime. Houston is forced to bend the knee early. The Colts have possession and are chipping away at field position. And all they need is a Rodrigo Blankenship field goal to win.
Good snap, good hole, kick is on its way, end over end, it is no good!
Of course, when the time comes to perform in the clutch, Indy manages to prolapse on itself. Texans engaged in outright tomfoolery on this day. They do nothing on offense and the game ends in a tie. In this economy, that's a price that's tough to pay for Indy. Houston, though, this is the equivalent of them winning the Super Bowl. Guys, I think Nathaniel Hackett may be completely overmatched as a head coach. Why do I think this? Oh, there are a couple reasons. Mainly the fact that he's total shit at game planning, and play calling, and clock management, and anything related to being a head coach of a football team. The Broncos still can't score a damn touchdown in the red zone. They've developed a phobia of scoring inside the 20. Chef Russ is abandoning his stove and burning the bottom of a pot while trying to cook ramen. Thank the Lord they're playing the Texans, or else this game would have gotten out of hand. It's the fourth quarter. The game is tied. All of Denver wants to fall into a black hole. Nathaniel Hackett couldn't call a pizza delivery, so bad at it. And you should be thankful it's only that. They'll still need a miracle to win.
Play fake. Wilson taking a shot deep for his tight end, and what a catch!
Oh my God, Denver, you did it! You scored a touchdown! This is the greatest accomplishment in your franchise's history. Winning one of the ugliest games I have ever seen. I don't know how it happened, but I'm even more skeptical of Hackett than I am now. Welcome to the first unofficial Tank Bowl of the season. I say unofficial since Tank Bowls don't begin until about week 8 or so. Even if legitimacy in tanking will be contested, both teams embrace the spirit of chasing for the number 1 pick. This game could be called many things. Good football is not one of them. The only positive is that the Bears can run the ball with authority. And even that is to be questioned since the Texans are trying to chase Bryce Young like he's tail that just became legal. It's a comedy sketch. Justin Fields can't throw accurately, Houston can't throw for shit, defenses are merely benefiting from offensive incompetence, and few outside of these two markets give a shit about this game. However, this contest is tied at 20 deep in the fourth. Now we will see who cares more about securing the top pick.
Starting to rain at Soldier Field on 3rd and 1. Mills, pass deflected, intercepted! Roquan Smith!
Well done, Houston. You have successfully begun your quest to the ultimate tank. Please step aside and dream about the future as the Bears win ugly in the short term. You guys know the real goal, and I respect that. San Diego's sloppy seconds may be injured to hell, but even they can't lose this. The Houston Texans are commanding one of the greatest tanks the world has ever seen. They're young, they're hungry, and they're diving through the dumpster for scraps of rotten meat and moldy bread. It was a breeze for the Chargers for the most part. I say for the most part because the Texans nearly came back to tie after being down by 20. Still doesn't matter though, the Bolts still have Austin Eckler and a somewhat mobile Justin Herbert. Against Houston, that's all you really need to win. At 2-2, LA limps on for another day. Their curse didn't consume them today. What the hell happened here? I thought Jacksonville was supposed to be this vastly improved outfit that looked like a surprise playoff contender. But here, against the Texans, it's as if Urban Meyer never left. Like most NFL franchises these days, team offense absolutely shit the bed. The Jags put on clown suits because it was a comedy of errors. Inaccurate passes, drops galore, mind-baffling play calls and execution on 4th down. With all of this in mind, take a guess as to how many yards Jacksonville gained on the day. Over 400. And they didn't score a single fucking touchdown. Boys, this is Houston. They're as competent as a Kardashian analyzing quantum physics. They're begging you to take this game. But no, you have to be nice and slide them the victory as a regift at their kid's birthday party. You think you're redeemed, but you're nowhere close. Put on the dunce cap and get in the corner. Real teams need to be discussed.
Brothers and sisters, gather round and heed my warning. The snake will always lurk in the garden. He will tempt you with treasures not of this world. A deceiver of the highest order, he who besmirches the word of God for his own gain. Jack Easterby believed that chaos was a ladder, corrupter of souls, the creamer worm tongue of the Texans. He sent the organization to hell as he danced in the decadence of sin. Brothers and sisters, what do you do when you find this snake in the garden? You kill it. You harness the power of the Lord and you say, "Devil, I will not submit to your evil. Get your presence out of my house. The wicked have no room in my life." There is only one name for snakes like Jack Easterby. Low cow of the wake. Now go in peace, my friends, and may the football gods bless you on your future journeys. Christ has blessed the Texans. Glory, glory, hallelujah!
Great tank of the Texans rolls on with haste. They've had some hiccups on the ride, particularly with an accidental win against Jacksonville, but their Super Bowl has already been celebrated. Jack Easterby was crucified for his many sins. Perhaps his evangelical power healed Derek Carr after an injury scare. In this version of Tankful, we have a surprising offensive showcase. One where Josh Jacobs destroys whatever the Texans call a defense. However, the game is still neck and neck. The deciding factor in these matchups is a simple one. Who wants to lose more? Fortunately for Houston, the Raiders still fancy themselves as playoff contenders. The tank of tanks remains strong, and it will be confirmed by a tasty pick six cooked up to Duron Harmon. Another scare for Las Vegas results in their continued survival for another week. Just don't know if it'll be enough to get anywhere close to a playoff spot. This matchup got a good bit closer than we thought. In theory, Tennessee should destroy the living tank made up of second-hand parts. This was unanimously believed until Ryan Tannehill was ruled out of the game due to illness. A grossly undercooked Malik Willis will be the man under center for this match. He may be nowhere near ready to play as a QB, but who needs that when Derrick Henry can destroy worlds? He's had 6 200-yard rushing days in his decorated NFL career. 4 of them have come against Houston. They aren't the tank of tanks simply because they want to upend a contender. The Texans will bow down to the former tenants of the city like they were the '85 Bears. Under 100 yards of offense by Houston until garbage time. You don't need a competent quarterback to win this kind of game. Be thankful you were playing a shitty team, Titans. Any other opponent in this may have gone a lot worse. Elsewhere in the AFC South, the perennial flower is blooming. Trade rumors involving Brandon Cooks. He's like the newly built house that's had 5 owners in 8 years. There's nothing wrong with the place. People get wowed by its open concept and potential for expansion, then they just get bored with it and flip it while they can at least break even. Little did Houston know that we're in a bit of a housing bust right now. Mortgage rates are too high for investors. Have you seen what that does to an $18 million salary figure in 2023? That means he's not getting traded. Dallas was interested in paying for Cooks, but then that would mean admitting they fucked up and giving away Amari Cooper for peanuts. No go there. Back into the tank, Brandon. We'll try this again in the offseason. Welcome to the NFL, where the rules are made up and the records don't matter. When you see an undefeated franchise against a tank rivaling the M1 Abrams, sheer destruction is expected everywhere you look. Your biggest mistake was trying to use logic. There is none. Houston will come out like a bat out of hell with Dameon Pierce and make it a contest. You know the end is near when the game is tied at half. However, there are reputations to uphold. Davis Mills is a better man than all of us. He's so dedicated to being a tank general that he'll help the team to draft his eventual replacement. His turnovers helped Philly to escape from the claws of humiliation. The Eagles remain undefeated. Can't really shit on Houston that much. Keeping it competitive for 2 quarters is an accomplishment all its own. The Houston Texans are the tank of tanks. A legendary mammoth that only seeks one outcome: to lose for their next great savior.
The sins of the butt-chin continue to haunt them, and the G-men will take advantage of their shittiness. The Giants themselves were sloppy as well. Ridiculously one-dimensional, featuring Kenny Golladay giving less effort than Hainsworth did after he got paid. Okay, it might not be that bad yet. If he had captaincy, they'd strip it like Houston did for Brandon Cooks. The fortunate thing for the Giants is, once again, they're playing the Texans. They lack many critical aspects of being a successful team. Maintaining some semblance of a pulse is all they need to get to 7-2. Glorious tanks roll along in Texas, for their quest for Tank Bowl greatness is unabated in New York. The Giants are merely playing checkers. Houston's eating the pieces in an attempt not to play. The Tank of Tanks is an impenetrable specimen, an immaculate amalgamation of everything suck. In Houston, it rolls along with impressive resilience. They call their creation the Bryce Young. Look at this first half and be amazed at its awfulness. 5 yards of total offense, -1 passing yard. As many first downs as they threw pick sixes. 1. With such a showing, we can only look on in amazement. Washington will be handed the easiest win they will ever get and take it with a smile on their face. Taylor Heineke has given the Commies the jolt they've needed to revive their season. That's why he's taken over starting duties from Carson Wentz. Don't look now, they're in striking distance for a playoff spot. All in a day's work for the Houston Texans. A true inspiration for tanking teams everywhere. At this point, I could just copy-paste my recap of the last Texans game and it'd be just as accurate. The only difference was that they replaced their current tank commander with another tank commander. Kyle Allen had like 3 good weeks as a Panther, but I don't think changing QBs is going to fix anything. The Miami Dolphins offense was playing Division I AA South in those old NCAA football games. At this point, I put the over for points in a Houston game over 30. Their defense will give up at least that much on a regular occurrence. The sad part is, even for how pathetic the offense looked in the first half, it was still an improvement over last week. Miami, here is your free win. Please accept it as Houston's tank rolls along with impeccable speed. He's back. Deshaun Watson has taken the mantle of the AFC North's most loathed QB. And we'll all forget about it when he has a wife and children as a PR move in 3 years' time. His first game back was like him coming out of the womb, covered in placenta and freezing from repeated exposure to the elements. A player who hasn't played in almost 2 years is rusty and inaccurate? Shocking, I tell you. But that doesn't damage the Texans' resolve. Even if their disgraced former QB is awful, when there's a will to lose, there's a way. Houston's so awful in all facets that they'll hand the game to Cleveland on a silver platter. They'll play long-range game by making Joe Woods' hackneyed unit comparable to Buddy Ryan's 46 defense. Cleveland can take this match. The real win is in the future, and that means the Texans are the first team eliminated. Playing down to your competition is a time-honored tradition bestowed by more than a few coaches in the NFL. In the land that is Dallas, it's pretty standard, but this one might take the cake. Having trouble against Houston, the greatest tank ever assembled by human hands? How are you struggling with these clowns? You do realize they're putting out Jeff Driscoll on rotation, right? Their defense somehow keeps bending into a spiral. Dak Prescott is melting into fucking Greek yogurt in front of our very eyes. Know how bad it's been for them boys? The Texans have the lead. I do not exaggerate my alarm. The Texans have the lead. And Dallas can do absolutely nothing to rectify it. Houston isn't exactly playing perfect football either. It's a comedy of fuck-ups that would fit perfectly on the Three Stooges. A throwback to classic slapstick. And now for the climax. Dak hands Houston the ball and some tasty Chobani near the damn goal line. The Texans can bury them with a touchdown. Unfortunately, they remembered something.
Driscoll turns. Driscoll stopped.
Did he go the wrong way on that?
They are the tank of tanks. Winning doesn't do them much in their quest for the #1 pick. Oh, what's that I'm hearing?
Here I come to save the day.
Wowie zowie, the Cowboys are putting together a predictable comeback drive because we can have nothing fun in this world. Oh my god, you're gonna beat the shittiest team in football! You've so earned the right to get your dicks wet.
Zeke up the middle, into the end zone for the touchdown.
Fuck you, Houston. Fuck you. I hope Bud Adams shits in your breakfast forevermore. For today's inexplicably close game that seemingly manufactured to drum up fan interest, may I present to you the Houston Texans. In all models and odds lines, this team should have been obliterated just by lining up for the opening kickoff. However, the scriptwriters felt like toying with us all. That or they had money on the Texans to prevent the cover. Despite being significantly more talented in all aspects, Kansas City just can't escape playing down to competition. Is it even safe to call it that? Their defense has turned into hot puke against some of the worst offenses in football as of late. As for their offense, they just keep making miscues. How the hell is this even close? The Chiefs have far more than doubled their opponent in terms of offensive yardage. Yet it stays close because fuck-ups keep happening. The fact that Houston had a lead deep into the third quarter should automatically be considered a loss. The fact that it's tied in the goddamn fourth, even worse so. Harrison Buckner had a chance to end the madness, but he pushed it right. We are somehow going to overtime. How? Literally how? Houston has the ball with a chance to end it, but then they remembered something.
Blocked by Ogunbowale, and here's Loney, fumbled the ball! It's loose! It's loose at the 27.
I think they got it back.
Like the Texans have jumped on the ball.
They are the tank of tanks. Helping Kansas City win is just part of the job. A cynical transaction indeed. Both teams accomplished their goals, and Vegas makes a shitload of money because the Chiefs didn't cover. All we get is an empty-calorie game and Kansas City securing the AFC West. Now get out of my sight. The Titans. Dear God. That's all I can say. The game merely being delayed due to power grid issues in Nashville is injustice. It should have been canceled for our sanity. If you thought their offense was shit enough under Todd Downing, imagine how awful it will be without Ryan Tannehill. For the rest of the season. As Malik Willis somehow forgets how to do anything as a quarterback, you'll say to yourself, it's okay. Derrick Henry's going to rush for over 300 yards like he always does to bail out this shitty team. There's no way they can lose to the Houston Texans in a must-win game. I'm afraid I have bad news for the three optimistic Titans fans. It's not happening. Tennessee isn't only obliterated on the injury front, the tank of tanks can afford to win a game and still secure the first overall pick. Why not destroy the hopes of a completely fraudulent franchise that deserves to lose? It's not all that shocking when you realize the Titans are in freefall. They've lost 5 straight. A division that was all but assured for them is now in peril. Jacksonville now holds the division lead, and this loss guarantees that the Week 18 matchup will be for the AFC South itself. We have to see Mike Vrabel's yes men bumble their way through a primetime matchup in 2 weeks. God help us all. Rest easy, Houston. You were able to witness a potential division winner in this contest. The Jags have been playing with fire for the past 2 months, and this game is merely a matinee performance. Next week is the ultimate showdown with destiny. Something thought impossible until Tennessee started collapsing. This game was meaningless, but statements had to be made. Not to mention the Texans are eager to gain a well-earned loss for the quest of almighty tanks. Both teams won in different ways. Nothing else to say here. Jacksonville looks deadly, but the Titans are the true test. Week 18 looms large. Now this is a matchup for the ages. A tank bowl that can alter the course of history. And both teams are eager to see their teams lose for selfish reasons. Why else would Indianapolis hire an ESPN analyst as coach and start Sam Ehlinger at QB? It certainly isn't to make themselves look good, I'll say that. Houston merely wants to tank for great justice. And are rumored to be firing everyone again because I really don't know. The Texans are just a clown car disguised as a football team. Part of me feels like Lovie Smith is trying to stick it to the organization by trying to make him this year's David Culley. Oh, you're gonna fire me? Not until I take a pound of flesh in return. That retribution would be in pushing the Texans to an early lead by means of General Mills. And a Sam Ehlinger pick 6, but beggars can't be choosers. However, the tides of war would turn. Mainly with another pick 6. They remembered their tank was real. That failure would be swift and justifiable, for the glories of the #1 pick are in sight. Indianapolis will be gifted their second win in the Saturday era, and the glories of the tank of tanks will be rewarded. Hey, Texans, the real war has been won. There's no need to push the ball down the field. Houston, no. The executives want you to tank. Texans, wait, don't! You're going the wrong way! You're gonna drive yourselves up the cliff! Stop! Stop!
Mills buying some time, fires towards the end zone, and it is caught! Oh my word. Improbable!
Oh my god. Lovie Smith is so pissed that he's giving the team the middle finger. He's going for 2. He wants to win!
Play
Watch
determines
Akins right there. Lines up outside, comes inside, watch him over the middle.
who will pick first in the draft. Mills to the end zone, it's caught! Akins!
You fools! You had everything you could have wanted and then some! This reeks of sabotage. In no coach's right mind should he destroy a glorious tank unless he wants to burn every bridge possible. Worse, it was against Indianapolis, who needs a franchise QB and is able to move up to the 4th selection. It's a disaster for Houston. But then again, Lovie was the head coach of the Bears at one time. And with this Texans win and their horrible time, a new champion appears at the 11th hour. With pride, may I introduce to you the winners of the 2022 Tank Bowl, the Chicago Bears! The haul of draft picks you receive from a QB-hungry team be plentiful and robust. Even in tanking, the Texans find ways to fuck everything up. The way was set. A team still locked into hell from the reign of Bill O'Brien, sucking like no team has since last year's Jags. General Mills showing none of the upside that made him an intriguing option for the season as they fall into the abyss. Ideally, we can just say they had no talent besides Brandon Cooks begging to get out and call it a day. However, like anything this organization touches, they take simple situations and chuck a crowbar into moving machinery. They have to ruin the tank, and do it in hilariously awful circumstances. All you had to do was not treat Lovie Smith like a lame duck coach. Just keep David Culley around. Maybe then Lovie wouldn't have given you the proverbial middle finger as he destroys the ambitions of the executive branch with a 2-point conversion. It's a season of drifting. We all knew it after Deshaun was traded. To build for the future, there will be a new quarterback in tow next year, and he'll be led by a damn good hire in D'Amico Ryans. He's coming home. I hope to God it's for more than one season like the last 2 coaches. Please.